Hey guys, welcome to my July episode of my movie collections update video. I know it's been probably about a month since my last one, so I have a pretty small, little selection of films this time around. I didn't get too much within the last month because there hasn't been anything that I really was looking forward to getting anyway. But I did get a couple of things in there that were of interest to me. So let's get started, alright? So kind of continuing with my Godzilla collection of films that I keep getting. I picked up two movies actually this time around. So the first one I'm going to discuss actually is another classic from the Godzilla Showa series of films, and it is Godzilla vs. Megalon on DVD. Now I was trying to look for this film on Blu-ray because I know it was recently made available on Blu-ray, but everywhere that I went, of course, they never had it, and it just so happened that at FYI they happen to have this version of it. So I've said, you know what, I'm just not going to bother with the Blu-ray version because I'm probably never going to get my hands on it. I didn't want to really order it off of Amazon or anything like that, so I just decided to buy this one there. And again, for those of you that are familiar with Godzilla movies, this is another classic. But the other reason why I think I love this movie a lot is because there are so many WTF moments in this movie. I mean, this movie is filled with so many absurd moments, including some very infamous Godzilla action sequences that have probably never been done ever again after this one, and drop kick, sliding drop kick is all I'm gonna say, and if you've seen this movie, you know what I'm talking about. But basically, it's Godzilla fights, a giant beetle named Megalon that is from the Kingdom of Seatopia, and it's basically kind of like underground dwellers having a problem against the surface dwellers, and they send their monster to go destroy civilization, and Godzilla comes around. But it also includes the first appearance of Jet Jaguar, the robot companion that Godzilla ends up having here. And then another monster named Gigan appears, so it becomes pretty much a 2-on-2 tag team battle royale type of monster fest. But it's good fun. Again, classic Godzilla film, and it's something that I definitely needed to get because I originally had it on VHS, and VHS tends to be a little bit under quality. So it was good seeing that this version of the movie, the quality is great. It has both the English as well as the original Japanese audio in it, so that's cool. And yeah, definitely a must-add for all Godzilla collections if you're a Godzilla movie fan. So definitely Godzilla vs. Megalon. The next film, also from the Godzilla series, is something that came out just a few years ago. And I enjoyed this one. And I believe in my previous video I actually spoke about Godzilla, or the Terror of MechaGodzilla, which was the second appearance of MechaGodzilla in a Godzilla film. That's the word Godzilla too many times in a line. But anyway, this one happens to be probably the more up-to-date version of MechaGodzilla that I do enjoy, and it is from Godzilla Against MechaGodzilla. Now, even though the title is they call the monster MechaGodzilla, in the film they actually give the robot a name, and his name is Kiryu. And basically the story behind this one is, it's some years after, I believe, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, and they, of course, Japan is trying to figure out a way to handle or deal with Godzilla, so they basically create a robot off the bones of the original Godzilla from the 1954 film. And they use the robot to go up against Godzilla, and during their first encounter the robot goes out of control, and they figure out that it's something having to do with the genes, the skeleton that was used from the original Godzilla to make this robot. It's kind of has a bit of an interference when it comes into contact with the actual monster, Godzilla himself. So they fix all that, and they have another huge battle at the end, which is actually probably one of the nicest filmed sequences of robot versus monster type of battle that is filmed in a Godzilla movie. And of course, with Pacific Rim coming out already in theaters, this is kind of like a nice counterpart to that in a Japanese monster movie. So again, I love Godzilla movies. This was one of my favorites. Again, I love this particular type of MechaGodzilla design, of course with the original traditional one. And all around, it's a pretty decent movie. It's a lot of fun, a lot of action sequences, a lot of piloting giant robots and stuff like that. So I definitely recommend this one if you enjoy some of the later Godzilla films. This is a definite must-have as well. Godzilla Against MechaGodzilla. Now, moving on to some of the DVDs that I picked up this go around. So the first film that I have to show you actually comes from Warner Brothers, and it is Tom Hanks and Halle Berry in Cloud Atlas. Having a lot of problems speaking all of a sudden today for this video. Anyway, this is actually a very interesting movie. I believe it was done by either one or both of the Wachowski brothers that you may recognize from the Matrix trilogy and some other films after that. And it's basically a compilation of different short vignettes that are put in a timeline. So it's basically there's films that take place during the past, some in the present, and some in a distant future. But they all pretty much have the same characters that primarily revolve around Tom Hanks and Halle Berry's characters. So it's kind of like a progression of civilization of sorts from different time periods, and how they pretty much deal with different situations, whether it be race, whether it be government oppression, whether it be just the fear of not knowing something, especially for some of the later, like the future, the parts that deal with the future. So and population control, I believe, is one of the other issues in one of the shorter stories. So I believe that there's a total of about 6 short stories that make up this entire film, and like I said, they're pretty much divided into different time zones. So that past, present, and future. But I mean, despite the fact that it's broken up that way, there's still a very nice, cohesive, progressive story that kind of follows, or not so much story, but theme that follows each one of these as it progresses to the later stories until we finally reach the end. And I have to say that at first watching it, and I thought it was kind of confusing, but once I got the gist of what the story was, I found it to be very interesting that it was done this way. It's a nice compilation of trying to kind of display certain social issues or commentary that happened in the past, or which is happening right now, I guess, to a certain degree, or what could eventually happen in the future. So it's something, it's interesting. You may have to watch it more than once just to get the hang of what's going on, and and who some of these characters are, because there are a lot of actors in this particular film, and they all play different roles in each of these time periods. So in some cases it was even kind of hard to figure out, is that Tom Hanks? Is that Halle Berry? So, but I mean, you do kind of tell after a while that, oh, that is that person, right? But either way, I really found this very interesting, very enlightening. I was really kind of glued into trying to figure out what is going on, like what is the purpose behind the story in here. And I thought it was actually pretty nice, so I definitely recommend this as something, to watch, and just see how the directors decided to tell this story in this manner, which I thought was actually it was unique. I wouldn't say that it's clever, but I would say it was a unique way of being able to tell this story, and I enjoyed it a lot. So I definitely recommend this one to all of you if you haven't seen it yet. Cloud Atlas. The next film that I have to show you is from Warner Brothers as well, and it's with Steve Carell and Steve Buscemi and Olivia Wilde, and that's the incredible Burt Wonderstone, which is basically about Steve Carell and Steve Buscemi's characters being magicians in Nevada, in forgetting this, in Las Vegas, and they basically have been doing the same act for years and years. And Jim Carrey's character comes in as kind of like this new age type of magician, kind of like borrowing a little bit off of Chris Angel. If those of you who know Chris Angel is very kind of like a new trend type of magician, sometimes maybe even a bit controversial in terms of the type of acts that he does. But it pretty much follows the same idea. You have these two characters that represent the old school of magic acts, and then you have Jim Carrey's character coming in here representing the new age of magic acts, or magic shows and stuff like that. So there's kind of like a competition going on between the two, and pretty much the whole story is basically just seeing how Steve Carell and Steve Buscemi's characters deal with the fact that they're kind of losing their audience, and they're realizing that they're pretty much have lost touch with why they decided to pursue this as a career. And Olivia Wilde's character is in there, as their assistant, and how she tries to help Steve Carell's character, find his passion for what he does, and and it's a nice story. It has its funny moments. It's not a perfect film, but it is what it is. And I enjoyed it for being that. Very simple, and having its funny parts. So I definitely say this is pretty much like a good rental. For you know, any night, like a Friday night, just to check out if you want to, and just, you know, have some friends over and just having like a nice good time with it. So definitely something that I would say, you know, check out. So The Incredible Burt Wonderstone Blu-ray DVD combo pack. The next film that I have to show you is part of this new series of Blu-ray steel books that came out recently. There's a whole bunch of them. I mean, that have like this very comic book style cover art on the front. And I believe in my last video I showed you one of them, which was the Shaun of the Dead steel book that had come out, that had the same, you know, front comic book cover art. So the next one that I have right here is also, you know, with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, and it is their follow-up to Shaun of the Dead, which is Hot Fuzz. And I picked this up again also because, you know, I like the cover art, but I also enjoy watching Simon Pegg and Nick Frost's, you know, comedy duo performances in films. So this is kind of really different compared to, you know, what we were thrown in for with Shaun of the Dead in terms of how they play on each other in their films. So this is kind of like, you know, a bit of a buddy cop film, and Simon Pegg basically plays like the super cop in London who pretty much kind of takes care of crime, and he's reassigned to the countryside in a place where basically there's almost no crime that happens. And he's there basically just kind of feeling bored and out of place because, you know, there's nothing to do, you know, and, you know, suddenly things start happening around there, and he figures out that there's this sinister plot, and there's with this sinister group that's kind of controlling things in the town. And basically, you know, he goes about trying to figure out what it is, and he teams up with Nick Frost's character, and the two of them pretty much just get into a whole bunch of heap of troubles, and that's just filled with comedic laughter. I mean, I love this comedic duo. It's almost like these two I don't know if I'm kind of like going too far ahead of myself by saying this, but I almost consider Simon Pegg and Nick Frost to be kind of like the more modern day Abbott and Costello of films. I mean, they play off of each other really well, you know. Hey guys, sorry about that. My camera kind of just stopped recording there for some odd reason. Let me have to check that out anyway. But anyway, going back to Hot Fuzz again, I definitely recommend this if, you know, you enjoy watching Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, and, you know, as they act together in some of their films. And I definitely, you know, really enjoyed this one, even though it's a little bit kind of dry towards the middle. So, you know, I kind of found myself losing a little bit of interest around the middle part of the film. But I have to say that despite that, you know, it tends to pick up once the action gets along, and especially when you see all the comedic bits that happen between these two, you know, it definitely picks up. And overall, again, you know, it's a really great film. I love these two actors. Like I said before, I'm kind of almost calling them like the modern day Abbott and Costello, you know, because they kind of have that feel, I guess, you know, in my opinion. So definitely, I'd say pick up, you know, Hot Fuzz if you haven't seen it. If you have, it's definitely worth another view, and especially if you like, you know, these steel books with the comic book cover arts, definitely pick this up. There's certain other ones that were released, you know, it's like a whole bunch of them. I can't remember any of the other ones. I believe, you know, their other movie Paul was released this way. I think The Incredible Hulk, maybe some of the X-Men films. I mean, there's a whole bunch of them, and if you look them up on Amazon or Best Buy, you'll definitely be able to see which ones I'm talking about. But definitely, you know, Hot Fuzz was a lot of fun to watch. And the last film that I have to show you basically comes from Disney, and it's I've really, you know, found the storyline of this particular movie to be, you know, very touching and endearing. You know, it's something that even though I cannot relate to on a personal level, I feel basically where the characters were coming from, you know, and how they tried to deal with their situation, even for a Disney animated film. And it is basically it comes from the Lilo and Stitch 2-movie set pack on DVD and Blu-ray combo pack that I picked up. And I remember watching this movie, you know, years ago on DVD and really enjoying, you know, the first Lilo and Stitch film because of the reason that I just mentioned before. I mean, the storyline in terms of, you know, a dysfunctional, broken family, and how these, you know, the two sisters, you know, Lilo and her sister Nani, basically try to coexist, you know, in this one house, and they you know, they try to look out for each other, but yet they still have differences that kind of seem to be tearing them apart, you know. And the child care agency, you know, coming in to check up on them, and the threat of, you know, pulling them apart. And then in the middle of all this, you know, drama happening, the alien Stitch appears, and it kind of feels like he's just tearing the family even further apart but they kind of find, you know, a reason for them to stick together, and it's because of Stitch as well. You know, I really enjoyed this film a lot. You know, it's an animated film, it's a kids film, but yet there's still some aspects of it that kind of still very, like I said before, touching, that anyone can relate to, even if you don't on a personal level understand the situation that's happened, but you can definitely relate to it, you know, or understand why, you know, this stuff is happening, you know, or you know, maybe even become a little emotional as well. So I definitely, you know, enjoyed Lilo and Stitch. And the follow-up movie, Lilo and Stitch 2, Stitch Has a Glitch, is also, you know, fairly decent film. You know, I believe I remember seeing that one. Basically it deals with Stitch kind of feeling like he's gonna die, so they try to find ways to try to cure him. And I don't remember too much of that one. I saw it a while ago. I haven't actually watched it in this version, so I may have to do that soon. But definitely I enjoyed these films. You know, if you enjoy them, I've definitely picked them up. I believe there was also a TV series that came out a few years ago as well, which tried to, you know, continue to play on the adventures of Lilo and her alien friend, Pet. And yeah, you know, definitely, you know, if you like Disney films, especially something that still kind of goes about, you know, the lines of traditional animation, you know, Lilo and Stitch is definitely one of those films to definitely check out. All right, Lilo and Stitch. All right, guys, so that's pretty much all that I have for you. You know, this time around, like I said, I had only like a small amount of films to show you, because that's all that I was able to watch that I had interest in trying to pick up this time around. So hopefully you guys liked it. You know, like my video if you enjoy what I had to say about the films that I spoke about and showed. Definitely subscribe to my channel so you guys know exactly, you know, what's coming up, what I might be doing. As a matter of fact, I think I mentioned this in my prior video, or one of my prior videos, that I'm actually going to be working on a new short film project, so I'm really excited about that. I think I'll start shooting in the next 2 weeks. I've, you know, got the script, and I got, you know, the people that I want working with me on it, so it's gonna be exciting. It's a first time for me doing something like this, so we'll see what happens, and you know, I'll keep you up to date here and there about, you know, what I'm doing with that and any other projects that I may have in store for you guys, right? And if anything, of course, just be on the lookout for more of my movie collections update videos as they'll be coming out. I mean, at this point, you know, I'm probably going to be getting, you know, a couple of movies in the next few weeks. So probably next month I'll probably have another video to show you guys. So until then, guys, look forward to that. Take it easy. Stay cool out there. It's pretty hot, especially if you're in the Northeast like me. It's pretty hot out there. So stay cool, guys. Later.